So, story number one in the news here. So, we got deGrom was just placed on the 60-day IL. Kind of tough news for the Rangers.
Yeah, they've been playing as good as anybody in baseball right now. You could argue they're a top 3 team. I think they might have the best record, but I mean, sometimes records can be deceiving. But I still think they're a top 3 team in baseball. Corey Seager's been fantastic since coming off I think he was on the 10-day IL. Semion's been good. They've been getting Jonah Heim's been a really nice catcher for this team as well. Thank you very much. But they've been getting production from all over the lineup, and the pitching staff has been good enough. It's been probably top half of the league, maybe closer to half than the very top. But without deGrom, then it becomes probably a slightly below average staff. Yeah,
and you're looking at trouble, especially because you're starting to get into the months now, right? You're in June. June moves by pretty quick.
Yeah.
This should be when you're catching your stride. If you're going to be a team that's going to compete, I mean, you can still afford to have a couple bad series down here and there. But, I mean, 60 days without deGrom is going to be tough. And, I mean, that puts you to the end of July.
So that's basically a third of the season, right? So the season's 162 games.
Yeah.
Right? Roughly speaking, you break that up, like 50-ish games is a third of the season.
Yeah.
Right? So missing 60 days, that's about, I don't know, we'll just ballpark 52 games.
Right.
That's almost a third of your season.
Yeah, it's not great.
And so that's when you need to be hitting your stride, right? So we've already been through a little bit over a third of the season. Now we have the second third of the season. This is where you can put yourself, you can either not solidify your playoff spot, but basically solidify that unless you fall off a cliff, you're in a good spot to be.
Yeah, and you
right?
can at least compete, battle for something, for a spot.
Yeah, unless you have a monumental collapse and you are well under 500 for the last third, you're going to make the playoffs, right? And that's kind of where the Rangers, that's where they've set themselves up in the first third of the season, where as long as they're average the rest of the way, they should be okay.
They can kind of go on
as long as they're
control.
Slightly above 500 the rest of the way, they should be fine.
But this doesn't look good. All right, story number 2, we're going to move to college football. So the SEC will keep the 8 conference game format in the season, even as they expand and add Texas and add Oklahoma. So you're still going to have the same amount of conference games, more teams. Now, my thoughts on this, I kind of wish they maybe added another conference game. Because you look at the SEC, it's the most competitive conference in football, in college football. I'd like to see those teams play each other a little bit more. Because I feel like a lot of times SEC teams get the benefit of the doubt. They get a really, really easy schedule.
So hear me out.
Especially Alabama.
2 options in my eyes. One, well, so here, let's start here. I think there should be a 10-game conference schedule out of 12.
Okay.
And I think if you're going to still stay, we'll stay with the current format where the ADs basically make their own schedules, right? You have to. There's a certain set of rules, right? How many conference games you have to have, whatever, the home and home contract, stuff like that you have to abide by. But outside of that, you kind of make your own schedule with the other ADs, right? With the conference. So if you want to maintain that, 10 conference games only allows you 2 non-conference games. That only allows you 2 cupcakes. Now you can strategically schedule those. If you want to start with a conference game, if you want to start on the road at Alabama, that's on you. And then you could throw your cupcake games in week 8 when you really need one, right?
Yeah.
Or week 12 at the end where you're like, we need to win for a bowl game if you're Vandy or whatever. Let's schedule East Tennessee Tech or something.
Yes.
And you just blow the doors off when you make a bowl game.
Yeah.
So that's maybe a different strategy. Or maybe you throw the easy games at the beginning as a warm-up, and then you do 10, but then you have 10 grueling conference games to end the season. So I think with that adds some more strategy to the schedule making and to what the schedule ends up being.
I do like that.
Or I was going to say you just have an actual governing body that makes the schedule like every other league that's ever existed ever.
Yeah, that would make sense. But
maybe for every other billion-dollar organization and billion-dollar industry has some sort of governing body that overlooks everything.
I do like how the ADs kind of make it, though. I think that's kind of cool.
If so, then I think there should be more strategy.
There should be more
Because now,
games.
with 4 non-conference games, Alabama can warm up with Appalachian State and Tennessee State Tech. And then somewhere in week 8 they can throw in a Montana Technical Institute, and then
Southern Mississippi,
and then they can throw a Southern Miss at the end, and then they're fine. Like they can, it's too easy, right?
Yeah.
Make it a little harder, 10-game schedule. So you have to play 2 more SEC teams. That's no joke. And then you have to strategically place those 2 non-conference games.
100% agree. Speaking of Southern Miss, so we're going to transition now. Story number 3 is on college baseball, right? It's in full swing right now. Love college baseball. Love this time of year. So now we're finding out the regional winners, and we're looking forward into what that could look like. I know the games, most of them start on June 10th. So coming up like 2 days after this episode comes out.
Yeah, so we have the super regional set. You want me to run through them?
I have a couple right
you
here.
got 'em?
I just wanted to talk about this for a little bit because, I mean, we have some good matchups and things that I'm excited to see. So, like, you have a Wake Forest, Alabama.
Right.
You have a Kentucky, LSU, which I think will be more competitive than some people think.
Yeah.
And then I think Florida and South Carolina will be really good. But then
I think that might be the best one.
I think that's going to be really, really interesting. But then this makes me excited for later after this next round of games, right? Because then you have a couple boring ones on here. You have Oregon and Oral Roberts. And you have Tennessee and Southern Miss. So, like, we know Tennessee's going to blow Southern Miss out of the water, right? And
so
I mean, I'd much
okay,
rather
so
not watch Oregon or Oral Roberts. I'd rather watch.
This is perfect. So we have a ton of time. Let's go through this actually. So let's start at number 1 Wake and number 16 Alabama. Okay, so that starts June 9th or 10th. Yeah, so that weekend, right?
Yeah.
That Friday or Saturday, those games will start. To me, Wake Forest is stacked, right? Their pitching staff is really good. They have a really, really, I mean, they outscored their opponents in the regional 48-7. So on both sides of the baseball, that's a damn good baseball.
Yeah, you're not concerned.
I don't mind Alabama. I think they maybe sneak by a win, but I think overall they're best of 3 series. By the way, I think Wake wins that. Next, Stanford, Texas. Now this one's interesting because Stanford is the national seed, right? They're the number 8 overall seed. But Texas is a really, really good baseball team. They had a tough start.
They always compete.
They end up sweeping West Virginia to end their season, who at the time West Virginia was number 6 in the country.
Yes.
They sweep them in the last weekend of Big 12 baseball. And an okay Big 12 tournament. And then stud, they go 3-0 in the Coral Gables regional. And now they're here. So, like, Stanford is a better team on paper.
But Texas has the momentum.
Texas has the momentum. I'll take Texas.
I like Texas. I think that's going to be a really interesting one to watch, too. I mean, Stanford just shocked me this season, though.
Well, Stanford's got a scrappy lineup. Again, I'll take Texas, though. So who are you taking? Let's do predictions. Why not?
I'll go Stanford.
So who'd you take in the first? Are you taking Wake as well?
Yeah, I'm taking Wake, and then I'm taking Stanford.
Okay. All right. Let's break it. We haven't done this since NFL season. So we're both taking Wake. You're taking Stanford.
Yep.
I'll take Texas.
Next
one. We have Tennessee at Southern Miss. I'll take Tennessee.
Tennessee.
Okay, Tennessee.
So right now we have one split.
So Tennessee, to me, they have the experience. They had a slightly down year from last year, but still, I mean, last year was an all-level. I mean, that was a program best type season. So just their down year, they're still a very, very good baseball team. LSU and Kentucky. So I'm riding with LSU. Paul Skeens, Dylan Cruz, those are probably 2 of the top 3 draft picks. Talent wins in college baseball, point blank.
I'm going Kentucky.
Okay.
They have the momentum. That's my team right now. I'm riding with them. They impressed me what they were able to do against WVU, and then with their backs up against the wall, be able to beat Indiana 2 straight after. I think they lost 6-4 to Indiana. Then they went to play WVU 110-0 against the WVU team,
twice,
and then they beat Indiana 16-6 in the same day that they beat WVU 10-0. Yeah. They went and played that doubleheader, won by 10 in both games, and then went on and beat Indiana 4-2.
Definitely impressive.
So look, they're a good team. They're a good team, and they have some momentum.
Okay, that's fair. All right, what about Florida, South Carolina?
Give me Florida.
I'm gonna go South Carolina.
Oh, we have 3 splits already. If only NFL season was this easy.
Yeah, I like South Carolina. I like Ethan Petrie. Their freshman bat. All right, Virginia at Duke. I'll take Virginia. Yeah. UVA, I think, is a deeper team, more experienced team. Now, Duke's going to make some noise. I'll take Duke to win that. I think it's going to be a close one, but I'll take UVA. Oregon at Oral Roberts. Or I guess Oregon versus Oral Roberts.
I'm going to go Oregon.
All right, I'll go Oral Roberts. Oral Roberts, they won like 48 games this year. One of the best teams in baseball, if you actually
look at who are they playing?
That's fair enough, but they made quick work of their regional. They played really, really well in the regional.
Sure.
All right, TCU versus Indiana State.
TCU, please.
You take TCU?
Yeah. It's a solid baseball school.
I mean, we need a 5th split. I'll go with Indiana State.
Wow.
I'll go Indiana State. Underrated. TCU's coming in kind of feeling themselves a little bit. I'll take Indiana State to kind of upset there. So I'm taking Oral Roberts as an upset, Indiana State as an upset. I'll take South Carolina as an upset, and I'll take Texas as an upset. You're going to take the favored Stanford Cardinals. You're going to take the underdog Kentucky. You're going to take the favored Florida Gators, and then you'll take Oregon favored and TCU favored.
I like it.
All right, love it. So yeah, a little college baseball for you guys. We don't talk a ton of college baseball unless we have one of our college baseball guests on, but it is nice to kind of talk a little bit about baseball, and we'll have one of those guests on pretty soon here, hopefully, to kind of talk a little bit more about that.
Yeah, I was going to say, as we get into like the later rounds of this, I definitely think we should have one or two of them on if we could swing it.
Yeah, absolutely, for sure.
I think it would be good. But that's all we have for